The claim that I will be responding to is that cow milk is unnecessary for humans. I'm here to explain why my opponent did not give enough reasoning or evidence to back up this claim. My opponent's first secondary claim is that cow milk is meant for calves and not babies. I'll respond to this with the reasoning challenge because the arguer states the benefits of human milk, but never gets around to explaining why cow milk is unnecessary. My opponent's second claim, the second secondary claim, is that cow milk helps promote prostate cancer growth and triggers other negative symptoms. I'll respond with a counterclaim that it is not the cow milk that causes the prostate cancer, but it is another chemical called RBGH. My opponent's third secondary claim is that cow milk is an insufficient source of nutrients, and I respond to this claim with the fact that no cited evidence is used by my opponent in backing up his point there. In response to my opponent's first secondary claim, that cow milk is meant for calves, not babies, first of all, the arguer never really gets around to explaining this, how cow milk is meant for calves, baby cows. However, he simply states the benefits of human milk to humans, but never gives reasoning why cow milk is truly unnecessary. On a report released by the National Agricultural Statistics Service on October 19th of 2012, there are 8.47 million cows currently producing milk in the United States. This statistic illustrates why cow milk is very necessary to the American diet. My opponent takes a stance that suggests milk digested by humans should be exclusively produced by humans. And you have to look at this with the knowing that not all consumers of milk are babies. So to suggest that adults should be getting their milk from other human adults is, simple, first off, awkward. But also, it's my opponent doesn't suggest any way of making that feasible. And to say that all cow milk, that we shouldn't be drinking cow milk, again, looking back at the statistic of the 8.47 million cows, the people currently getting the nutrients from these cows would have to look elsewhere. In response to my opponent's second secondary claim that cow milk helps promote prostate cancer growth and triggers other negative symptoms, my opponent says that cow milk can give you prostate cancer, but upon further research, it is not the cow milk that what causes the prostate cancer. It is a chemical that is sometimes injected into cows called RBGH. According to the Cancer Prevention Coalition, not all milk contains RBGH. In fact, you go to the store and dairy and milk that is, it's clearly marked that does not have RBGH. And my opponent suggested that we get rid of all milk because of the potential that this has RBGH. It doesn't make sense to get rid of an entire source of nutrients simply because in the past there have been some sources, but not enough to really bypass the entire source of milk as good for you. Also, in my opponent's speech, he claims that cow milk has a direct effect on lactose intolerance, eczema, and other allergies, but he cites no evidence. And in fact, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, lactose intolerance is caused by lactase deficiency or genetic link. Neither of these are connected at all to drinking too much milk. So milk does not cause lactose intolerance, so my opponent was wrong. In response to my opponent's third secondary claim that cow milk is an insufficient source of nutrients, my opponent gives examples of other alternatives that could compare to getting the same nutrients as milk, and two specifically, he uses tofu and vegetables. But again, no cited evidence is used presenting that other foods have a comparable amount of calcium that milk has. According to the U.S. Office of Dietary Supplements, a cup of milk contains 31% of your daily value of calcium, while an average serving of tofu only contains 5%. And in the realm of vegetables, again, according to the U.S. Office of Dietary Supplements, the vegetable with the highest amount of calcium is collard greens, and an average serving of collard greens only contains 14% of your daily value of calcium. Again, less than half of what an average 8 fluid ounce glass of milk has. So in conclusion, my opponent simply does not give enough solid reasoning or solid cited evidence to back up his claim that cow milk is unnecessary for humans, and milk is certainly safe, healthy, and plentiful, and should be continued to consume. Thank you.
All right, at the beginning, you kind of preview your responses to each of the points instead of simply reminding us what their points were. I'm not sure that you want to go that far in trying to structure it. It gets a little bit confusing. Save the arguments as you get to each of those points. On the first point, you do point, it does sound a little bit circular that you're going around on this issue, and it kind of reduces it to absurdity. You know, the idea of human beings providing milk for each other. I don't know. It sounds absurd to me, but who knows what science fiction will present to us tomorrow. It'll be one of those odd things that people are, nursing mothers will just start milking themselves and selling it in grocery stores, I suppose. It's just a weird kind of concept that you're talking about. One of the things that you might point out is that, all the things that milk is used for and all the foods that it's found in and all of the recipes that it's included in, how widely spread it is consumed as a way of showing that it is certainly widely accepted and it's become part of the basic diet. The notion that only calves should be consuming it is a little bit silly on that point. On the second issue, on the health effects, that I think you have an interesting argument on, because they focus primarily on the allergies and the prostate cancer, and you've got this one piece of evidence that suggests that it's RBGH that produces the prostate cancer. Okay, I think that's a valid point to make, but then later on you say that milk, milk with that particular ingredient in it is labeled and people don't have to have that. I think you need some data on that particular point, because I'm not sure that that's true. That's one of those criticisms that's going on, and we've got a proposition on the ballot that's going to be addressing some of those issues too. So, I'm inclined to assume that you're probably right on that, but I'm not sure, and there's reason for me to doubt it, so I'm not sure why you didn't provide some evidence on that point. On the other allergies, I think that you do have this good point. It's milk does not cause the lactose intolerance. It's that human beings sometimes lack the amino acids that would allow them to consume milk, but it's not caused by the consumption of milk. I think that's an important point, because the advocate seems to be suggesting that it's milk that causes those problems, when it is that milk is simply a symptom of that particular problem. And that's okay. And then the alternatives, what I thought was very effective here was the comparison about how much you would have to consume in order to get an equal nutritional value of it. And one of the things that you also might want to point out is how important the calcium consumption is in human health. That would also add to that second point. Thank you.